And maybe you think now we are talking about literature, you are the film industry, so maybe we should explain it more. We have here a special guest who can do it on the perfect way. The director of the Frankfurter Buchmesse, Jürgen Boos. Welcome, and please come to the stage.
Vielen Dank, Martin. Thank you so much, Martin, for introducing me. My job is now to introduce this project. It's more than 20 years ago when the Frankfurter Buchmesse and the Berlinale Film Festival had the joint idea that we should work together. We should bring book and film people together. We should pitch content, stories to film producers. So we started discussing it with the industries. And for the first few roundtables, everybody sent in lawyers because we didn't understand each other. We were not used to talk to each other. Because the cycle in publishing is like every 6 months you come out with new titles. In the film industry, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know how long it takes to have an idea, to find the money, to start production, market it. So actually it was 2 different worlds. Now, after 10, 12 years, we finally managed actually to talk to each other. And now I think it's an international community. But we still have to work in that community. But now I would like to give you an idea first on what Frankfurt is about, and then about our thoughts regarding book to film, book to screen. And book to screen also changed a lot, because when we started talking about book to film, it was about movies. Now we have hundreds of people, scouts from Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever, running around in Frankfurt, and they all come there in secret, so nobody can really see what they're looking into. It's a strong competition happening, but there's a lot of more people. And now, for the past few years, we also looked into the games industry. Not into the big games, but into games which are gamification, educational content, storytelling on a very smaller level. You see some numbers here. It's about visitors, but I think it's interesting for you. It's this 115K. Yeah, it's about trade visitors. I think book publishing, it's quite an impressive industry, but still we know each other. And I think in the film world, it's about the same. The people you see here, you probably see a few weeks later in Busan, in Korea, or somewhere else. But still, I would say these 115K, it's quite impressive, and especially if you think they're coming from more than 150 countries. Some of them only stay for 2 days, some of them stay for a week, some of them get lost and never find back. But this is what's happening in Frankfurt. We see the exhibitors and all these numbers. This is the times of social media. We always have to come around with numbers like billions. But again, I was surprised. It doesn't seem to me, when I arrived here yesterday, I was in Korea like a week ago, and every 2 minutes, somebody took a photo, posted it on Instagram. It's not like this in the Czech Republic, is it, Martin? Well,
did you post it already that you are sitting here? Yes or no?
Nobody does it. Okay, so it's a different culture. That's interesting. So we have all these reaches. Frankfurt, the book fair, since what I'm showing you here, it's Gutenberg. Yeah, we said to have invented printing, but the Koreans claim it for them as well. So who knows where it does come from? But actually, it's the 15th century. But there was a marketplace for manuscripts before he started printing in Mainz, in a city next to Frankfurt. So actually, let me go back once more, because I always like this, because when he started printing, there was this marketplace for books, for manuscripts in Mainz, and after a few years, this marketplace had to leave the city because it belonged to the Bishop of Mainz, a Catholic church, and they didn't like the content. So what happened, the marketplace moved to Frankfurt, which was a free city. It belonged to the emperor, Holy Roman Empire. And we are back to Prague. And what is also quite interesting, publishing, and I think in the film industry it's very similar, publishing follows the money. So we're going from Lyon, which was a big trade city, to Frankfurt, to Leipzig, to Prague, because you have to, it's all about cash flow. You have to invest first, and then you print, you sell the books, and 2 years later you might get back some money. And it's about the same with film, as I understand it. Yeah? So we always had to follow the banking system. So what Europe experienced in the 1920s, 30s, and later on killed the book fair as well. Intellectuals had to leave Germany, publishing was ruined, yeah? The Nazis burned the books. A lot of publishers were from Jewish origin. They left Germany, they went to New York, they went to Buenos Aires, to Argentina, if they survived. So when the book fair started again in 1949, this is a church where it took place for the first and second time. This church didn't have a roof. It was a few hundred publishers meeting there. But after 2 years, there were more international publishers than German publishers. So this was quite an impressive story, because all these people who went into exile, who left Germany, wanted to come back to see what has happened in Germany and whether they can build upon. So you see 50s, 60s, Muhammad Ali, quite funny, the Dalai Lama, yeah, Umberto Eco, I think, was very prominent as well for my friend Professor Kubitschek here in the first row. He knows him very well. I always loved to see him in Frankfurt. He came with his students. He was teaching in Bologna, and he came with his students to expose them to the world of publishing. Henry Kissinger, I met several times in Frankfurt. He was, let's say, very special. I think if you look onto him, what he's done in these years in American government, I'm not too sure whether I still like his ideas. So maybe we can move on. And you see, I spoke about the political situation. Yeah, you see what has happened. The photo in the middle I like very much. This was when we started to have guest of honors, focus points. At that time, we decided to curate these events ourselves. This moment was when we called it Black Africa. You couldn't use this term anymore. And you couldn't have white people in Frankfurt deciding who's going to come as a writer or as a publisher from Africa, Black Africa. So after, I think it took us like 10 years to realize what we are doing is colonial. So we shifted completely. We invite a guest of honor where we do believe there's an interesting literature, there's something happening, they are looking into the future, they are not looking backwards, and we want to include the role of the creative sector. And this all of this accounts to the Czech culture. So this is more or less nowadays. You see the then Turkish president, Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, the Dutch king over there, which was, I like this idea. I was with my son, and the Dutch king and my son urgently wanted to drink a beer together. And this was quite an experience because the king had to hide himself so nobody sees him drinking beer. He's not allowed to drink beer in public. Mrs. Merkel, she's history. So a lot of things happening in Frankfurt. Martin, you can move on. This was Ireland in 1906, I think. Salman Rushdie. And then we tried to look into other industries. This is David Hockney. Yeah? So we thought, you can tell stories many different ways. It doesn't need to be an author. It could also be a world-famous painter. And what I liked about Hockney, he likes to smoke as much as I do, and he was the only person who was allowed to smoke everywhere. You could always see where he was in the halls, smoking one cigarette after the others. This is recently Chimamanda Adichie, Elif Shafak, Yuval Harari, and whom I like very much, Roberto Saviano. We had Italy as guest of honor just recently, and the government decided you cannot have Saviano, he's criticizing Mrs. Meloni, so we had to invite him. And he was the star of the festival. So you see, you cannot control what's happening in Frankfurt. It's a challenge, Martin, I hope you survive it as a curator. Now, coming to book two, this is Frankfurt. It has an economic dimension, selling rights, intellectual property, to all the sorts of creative industries. It does have this cultural dimension, and it has a political dimension, because culture and politics, it's the same. You cannot divide it. So looking the book to film, 22 years ago, it took us a long time to bring people together, to develop the ideas behind it. We've started with the Berlinale. Martin, you can move on. We have created a book-to-screen day in Frankfurt, and actually 1 day is not enough anymore. I think we have to extend it to like 2 days. We've done it at the Berlinale. We went to Prague. We went to many places with this event. And our idea right now is actually to build a network of book-to-screen events worldwide, working with the film festivals. We are right now talking to Toronto, with Busan in Korea, and Turin Book Fair is involved, the Venice Biennale is involved. So I think it's a network of a few hundred people traveling the world, and I think they should get information according to the standards they want. And this is what we are working right now on. We had good meetings this morning. Oh, he's gone, but Radovan is still here. So yeah, so we're working, we have a lot of partners. We're also talking to German films, we're talking to the people in New York, the Gotham Film Institute. There's many, many people involved, and you see some moments. This is about the pitchings. We have matchmakings where we bring people together. There's professional training, yeah, which we still need because we have to look into a lot of other things, and this is what's going to happen this year. And Martin, I think we also can show that's in the Film Award we started, Best Literature, that is at the Berlinale, which is always very nice. And we would love to have you in Frankfurt and next year again in Karlovy Vary. And we hope to announce our cooperation at the Berlinale Film Festival. You may be curious. And we have a dedicated team. Please get in touch with everybody, Radovan or Martin, whoever's involved, the friends here at Karlovy Vary. So hope to see you soon again. Vielen Dank. Was I fast enough?
Maybe time for the question.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you guys hear me? Am I on? Hi. Jürgen, thank you so much. I will stand here in the middle, actually, if you're going to stand there. That was super interesting, and what an incredible initiative that you guys are both going to be doing for this. My question to you is, just from a kind of IP in terms of trends, are you noticing, because it's so much harder in the film and TV industries to, you know, for people to have original IP, and that's such a, IP retention is such a big thing. Are you noticing a trend in the amount of books that are being adapted to the screen? Is it kind of going up? Is it on a par for how it always was? You know, I would imagine, because you're doing initiatives such as this, that there are more people looking to books for content. Is that the case?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yes, because you see, usually we're all looking into North America. It's a one-way street, especially in publishing. So we tend to follow what's happening there. But if you look into the huge markets right now, where you see young population, demographics changing, if you look into India, Southeast Asia, the Philippines, by example, it's completely different. In the Philippines, we see a lot of graphic novels being turned into movie adaptations, into screening series, and into whatever. Yeah, if you look into Germany, I think it's 30% of what is it's literary adaptations right now. If you look into North America, I don't have a clear picture. Maybe you know it better. What's happening there? We've seen the strikes in Los Angeles and Hollywood. Yeah, so there's a lot of things are happening right now. Yeah. I don't really understand it. Maybe it's also politically motivated. But in Europe, we're seeing a lot of film adaptations. We've seen a lot of comics, graphic novels turned into movies. And I don't know how it is here.
What about, you talked a lot in this presentation about looking to the future, and you touched on social media as well. I'm curious as well how much social media plays into the plans for the book world for elevating authors. You know, there's obviously been all this book talk stuff. There's been success with Colleen Hoover and Emily Henry, Taylor Jenkins Reid. How much is that like a conversation now in the book world in terms of kind of overlapping social media into that?
No, it's so important right now. But you can also segment it by markets. In some countries it doesn't exist at all. In other markets, BookTok is the largest bookseller already. Wow. So with a market share of 40, 50%. So the bookstores don't exist anymore since BookTok took over. So you can order directly. In Germany, we had to change a lot of things at the Frankfurt Book Fair because what we call New Adult is taking over on the weekend. Yeah. So we have hundreds of thousands of young people coming in, and they're turned from a reader to a fan. Yeah, they don't want to attend an event where one author talks to 3,000 people. All of these 3,000 people want to have a photo, yeah, with the author. So this is completely crazy. So we have queues. People are waiting for 5 hours to get this photo in Frankfurt. Yeah, we had to change the whole layout of the book fair because to cater to the needs of the young people. Yeah. I personally believe it's only going to last for a few years. Everybody else is telling me this is going to stay forever. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's totally fascinating. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Vielen Dank. Thank you.
We look forward to more announcements from you guys. Thank you.